Hello everyone, and welcome to day number 117 of our daily Chafetz Chaim. Today we conclude the ninth and final chapter of the laws of Rechilus. Chafetz Chaim writes in halacha number 14, if something happened to someone and he doesn't know who did it, and then he comes to you and asks you who did it, and you can tell that he suspects you for having done it. The halacha is you are not allowed to tell him who did it, even if you witnessed it personally. Nevertheless, you can only say, I didn't do it. But more than that, you would not be allowed. Unless, of course, the Chafetz Chaim says it's something that you should be telling him anyway, as we've discussed in the beginning of these laws. But otherwise, you're not allowed to say it, and it is just like it was when in regards to the laws of Lashon Hara. And the Chafetz Chaim notes on the bottom that even with this, a person should not make a mistake and think that if by saying so he will be indicting others, that is okay. The example is, let's say there was something that was voted on, and a person was outvoted, and after the vote was done behind closed doors, someone approached him and said, are you the one who voted against me? You're not even allowed to say no, because by doing so, the person will know who it was, and therefore you would not be allowed to answer him whatsoever. And the Chafetz Chaim continues in halacha number 15. Now we will bring a case which many people make a mistake in, and that is as follows. If somebody comes to town to sell wares, and somebody comes to him to buy a particular item, but he doesn't have enough money for it. So he asks the merchant to hold it for him until he can go back and get his money, and then he will be back to buy it. And in the meantime, someone else comes by and pressures the merchant to sell it to him, and he sells it to the second person who is putting on the pressure. Then the first person comes back and wants to buy the product, and it's gone. The merchant is not allowed to say, oh, so-and-so came and he pressured me and I didn't want to sell it to him, but I had no choice, I didn't want to fight with him, and he made me do it, and he just grabbed the item and threw the money down, and there was nothing I could do, and I didn't want to fight. That is 100% rechilus, because halachically the sale is binding, even though what that person did was absolutely wrong in forcing the sale. Nevertheless, since it is halachically binding, there is nothing that can be done about it moving forward, and therefore the only thing that the merchant is accomplishing by divulging what happened to the person who wanted to buy it is creating an animosity between the person who bought it and the person who wanted to buy it, and therefore is absolutely considered to be rechilus. And the Chafetz Chaim continues and says, certainly, if the case was a little bit different and the second person who came to buy it didn't pressure, but simply offered more money, and now the merchant is responding to the first person who's come back to buy the item that he had reserved, and the merchant is just going to push him off and say, oh, he made me do it, but the reality was that he simply sold it for a better price, then not only is that going to be rechilus and forbidden, but it was also going to be included in the category of Metzi Shemra, because there is a falsehood involved also, that he is lying about what happened in order to take the guilt off of himself. And the Chafetz Chaim continues and says that it is also very important that even if the merchant is going to take the blame himself, and he's going to say, I made a mistake, I shouldn't have done it, but I sold it, he is still not allowed to mention the name of the person he sold it to, because by saying so, he will be, again, saying rechilus, which is unnecessary. All he should do is say, it was my fault, I sold it, I shouldn't have, without saying who it was that he had sold it to. And from this, the Chafetz Chaim says, you should know that everything that we have been discussing has all only been in regards to those who are still included in Amisecha, the people who are part of our nation, meaning that they are still keeping the Torah and mitzvos as the rest of Klal Yisrael does. But when you're dealing with the heretics, people who deny Hashem or deny the Torah or even part of the Torah, or they laugh and mock the words of our sages, then people like that, a person is in fact required to say Lashon Hara, say Rechilus, be Metzi Shemra, and show everybody how wrong these people are and degrade them in order that others should not learn from their ways. And with this, we conclude the main section of the book of Chafetz Chaim, and for the next section, the Chafetz Chaim will just go a little bit further and give a few more examples and the practical ramifications of Lashon Hara and Rechilus for them, but with this we have concluded the laws of Rechilus.